Welcome to ETL testing with SQL. In this video, I'm going to show 15 data quality checks that every data engineer must know. These checks will help you validate data at every stage: extract, transform, and load. So, what is ETL? Let's start with the basics. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. Extract, you pull raw data from your source system. That could be an API, database, even a CSV file. Transform. This is where the magic happens. You clean the data, validate it, enrich it with lookups and aggregate it for business needs. This is load. Finally, you move the clean data to your target warehouse or data lake for analysis. Now, why do we need ETL? Or why do we test ETL? There are 4 reasons for that. Data accuracy. Transformation must follow business rule exactly. If you mess up calculation, your entire analytics is wrong. Completeness. No missing rows, nulls. If your ETL drops data silently, you won't even know it happened. The next one is integrity. Primary keys, foreign keys, referential integrity, all must be validated. Performance. Aggregation in your target must match source values. If sums don't match, something went wrong. Here's a typical flow. Data flows from left to right. Source. Your raw data from CRM, ERP, APIs can be one of the source which was used in ETL. Staging. The second path where transformation happens using SQL, Python, or tools like Informatica. Target. The third one where your clean data is in the warehouse ready for analytics. At every stage, SQL validates what happened. That's what we'll show you today. You might transform data using many tools. Low-code tools like Informatica Power Center, Talent, Azure Data Factory, AWS Glue. There can be code-based tools like SQL Server, TSQL, Python, Pandas, and PySpark, Snowflake SQL, or DB tools, data build tools. But here is the truth. No matter what tool you use, SQL is your validator. SQL checks row counts, aggregate, business rules, everything. That's where your interview edge comes in. Okay, this data is kind of, we can say, corrupted over here, which we have kept it over here. So let us assume that there are 5 rows. Why are these so? Okay. These are the source sales tables, and just seeing in this, we can see that there are 5 rows over here. Source database. If we go to next one, we can see in the target there are only 3. So if we will perform ETL, and after that, if we do the testing, we can surely say that row number 4 and 5 are missing. And to catch this, we require testing. So the ETL silently dropped them. Without data quality checks, we would never know that we lost actually 40% of our data. And this is exactly what we're going to detect with SQL queries in coming slides, in coming part of the video. Now, here is a transformation example. In source, we have a gender code as raw M, F, and X. That's not user friendly, right? Many people will not understand what is M, what is F, what is X. So in transformation stage, we join with the gender mapping table to look up with each code. Means M becomes male, F becomes female. X doesn't have a mapping, so it gets rejected. In the target, now we have a clean, validated gender description, gender underscore desk values, male or female. But what if the mapping table is incomplete? What if some records don't have a match? SQL will catch that. Now there are 15 ETL testing checks which we can perform. If you see, I can understand it might happen that the fonts are not very much visible. I don't know all the slides I have made in white, but this can happen here. Okay, no worries. So let me explain you, give you an overview. So there are 15 ETL testing checks. In volume part of checking, we will check row count match and some aggregate match. In keys validation, we will check the primary key duplicates and orphaned foreign keys. In nulls, we will go for required field must not be null or missing. In quality section, we will check business rule and format validation. In mapping section, we will look for lookup codes, join data. In advanced section, we can check data ranges, data types. Completeness is actually data loss detection. And in summary, we can check for customer count reconciliation. We will look a detailed code for all of these 15 ETL testing checks in upcoming part of the video. I just give you a glance of it. Ready? So let's now jump to live SQL demos for this one. Stay tuned. We will go to SQL Server now. Let's imagine one scenario, and we will figure out why ETL is very important. So as you can see in the screen, there's a Black Friday catastrophe. So your e-commerce stores process 1 million in sales, but the analytic dashboard shows only 600K. Customers are furious, boss is screaming, what went wrong? So it's a classic ETL failure. Raw payment API data floods in null prices from crashed cards, failed fraud blocks, fake regions like this, empty customer IDs. These are the issues in our source database. And ETL must clean this chaos, like the filter junk, look up discount regions, calculate net off if it is provided on valid codes, and aggregate monthly by customer region. Now, to make this scenario more realistic, I have created these tables. So let me run this queries one by one. Suppose we will be dropping any table if it is created. Then what we will be doing, we will be creating this lookup table. Now let's execute this one. Okay, where it is. The statement has been ended. Region clean. Statement has been terminated. Completion. Okay. Let's first create this table. We have created the table. Okay, very good. Now let's run this. What data we have over here? Select star from. Anytime if we are not understanding what is the issue, we can see the data. So there is no data over here. Let's put this insert thing over here. Would be target table is region clean. Okay, what is the problem here? Worker 10, worker 10. Region clean is completely fine over here. String under binary table will be truncated in table. Region clean. Truncated value north am. Okay. However, we have very good. So the size has been truncated over here. Let's increase the size to 14. Now again, let's drop this table. Actually, this was a constraint which was happening over here. We have kept the column size region clean of this table to be 10, and we were entering data North America which is more than 10. Like that is why we were facing this issue. Now I think it will be okay if we create this, and then if we run this, so I think we will have our data. Great. So this is a lookup table for us, which is a region mapping. Select star from region mapping. If we run this, we can see the data which is entered over here. So we have 4 columns over here. US is North America, EU is Europe, IN is for Asia, and XX is invalid. We don't know what region it is there. Now this is a lookup table, which means if there is a raw data which is happening, which is US is mentioned there in the region, then we will convert that into clean data, which is North America. Same goes for EU, which is Europe, IN for Asia. And if there is a XX mentioned in the region, then we will mention it into invalid region in the clean database. We will look into it. No worries on that. Let's create one more table, which is this one. Yeah, we need to select all of them. Let's see if we can go it with one go or not. Right, very good. If we check this data, let's see what are the values over here. So this is actually our source, and the source is having source raw sales over here. So if we enter over here, then let's see what the data we have entered over here. So if we see the raw sales is having good amount of columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns over here, and the transaction ID, which is our key over here, is completely fine over here. In customer ID, we have a missing value, which is on the TXN 007. Timestamp is looking good. Gross amount, we have a null value over here. Discount code is actually mentioned over here, and there is an invalid discount code also, and the rest are safe 10, safe 20. Great. The payment status are failed, paid, and pending. And region, we can see US, EU, IN. XX is also mentioned over here, and we are not sure what is the region for XX. Like in the region table we saw in the lookup table, US stands for North America, EU stands for Europe, IN stands for Asia, and XX will be mapped to invalid. So we have that information with us. The staging layer, let's keep the staging layer. And if you remember in my execute over here, This is the staging layer, and this is the transformation logic. I have created this table. I'll explain the staging layer completely, and then we have a target layer over here. So let me run that too. Let's not focus on this, what actually was there. Let's discuss the source table first. Now, as we know that the source table over here was having data which were not actually correct. There was some missing data, some invalid data, missing data, invalid data, and null data. Now, these are the things which we need to remove in our ETL. And based on the business requirement, we need to aggregate monthly by customer and region. This is also one of the things which we need to perform. In the target database, we need to aggregate the data based on aggregate monthly by region or by customer. Okay, we will solve that, and all of these logics will be completed in transformation layer or the staging layer. Now let's keep in mind for this. Let's go for the staging layer. Now let me do one thing. Just for the sake of simplicity, what I have done is let me not do one thing. Let's come here. We know the source now. These are the logic which we will apply over here. Okay. First of all, the staging clean cells from source raw sales. I hope you have a clear understanding what is this select into and from does actually. So let me first explain you that. Select any details, I don't care, then into any details, and then from. So what it actually does is it actually copies the data from table A to table B. Now, if this is a table B and this is table A, consider this table A as my source. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm doing nothing. I'm just taking the source and I'm putting my data into table B. So let us suppose source 2. If I run this logic, forget everything. If I enter my source table over here and I enter my new table name over here, then all the table will be created. A replica of this will be created as a table B. This is usually used to copy the tables. When you don't want to add or create a structure or everything, you just write this query and the whole schema along with data has been copied and named as table B. So if you break this into break this query, so we can see 3 bullet points over here. Select, into, and from. 3 bullet keywords which are most important over here. Now this from is having a table combination over here, which we can see. So no worries, that's not a very difficult task. If we come over here and let me write a star over here. Okay, I'm just explaining this because writing this will take more time. Into, and now into that they are creating a new table, which is the table B over here. So if we come over here and write this, and if we write this thing over here, okay, now you should keep in mind we have seen the region mapping one table also, right? If you don't remember that, let me just run it once more for you. So I hope you know the region mapping thing. This was the region mapping data and this was the raw sales data which we had. Now I'm doing a left join on that. If you see, I'm performing a left join on region mapping, source, raw sales and region mapping, and I've taken all the rows, doesn't matter. So what will happen, this whole result of this left join will be stored into staging clean cells. Let's execute this one. If I have executed this one, I can see I have transaction ID, custody ID, sales time, all the data for that, which is available over here. SRS region equal to rm.region raw. Wonderful. Let me run it once again. Now let's do one thing. Control C and Control V. Let's see the table from clean cells. Okay. So we can see we have transaction ID, cust ID, sales data, all the columns from source raw sales and from region mapping. We have region clean data over here, right? Great. This is great. And if you see on left join, we have only received 4 rows. Why is it so? We can do that analysis over here because it was joined on SRS region. So only those regions whose values were there actually ran. Okay, I got it. Why it happened? 1 minute, huh? Just give me 1 minute. Let me drop that table. So let me drop this again. Dropped it. Now what you can do is, okay, now as I was explaining what is select, into, from and left join. Now let's run this. I should have all the data, 7 rows and all the columns from both the table. Let's execute this one. So see, I have all the 7 rows from source columns because it was a left join on source raw table, And region mapping will give us the region clean data, and we have joined based on this values. So I think we are clear with select into from. Now we need to remove this cust ID, right? So to remove this cust ID, what we will actually do is we will add this where column. We need to remove this cust ID. We need to also remove any payment status which is failed, because that failed record will not contribute to my 100 million sales, right? Or 1 million sales, whatever sales value was there. So payment status should be removed. If the payment status is failed, we will remove that. If customer ID is null, then I don't think there is any point of keeping that. If gross amount is null, leave that customer ID thing. If gross amount is also null, what is the point of having that? It will not contribute in that 1 million sales. So we will need to remove that too. So to handle these scenarios, what we have done is we have added these where columns. So if you see, first exception which I'll add over here is now what we can do is we can add this where thing over here. Now if I have add this, see, cannot be bound. Okay, great. This SRS will not go. Gross amount is not null, then we are good. So see, gross amount is not null, we have removed that one thing. Now what we need to remove, this is the transformation which we are performing step by step. So I have removed a null value. Okay, and then let's come up and go for second transformation, which is gross amount is greater than 0. If gross amount is 0 also, it will not provide any contribution to my 1 million sales, because you cannot buy anything with having gross amount value as 0, right? So if that is also a scenario, remove that. I'll again run it. This one more transformation has been done. Then we will do one more check, which is payment status. As I was saying, that the failed payment status will not contribute into my 1 million sales data, right? And I'm majorly concerned about that 1 million sales only. Why 600K is coming and all that. So let me add that too. Okay, great. If I write it like this, we have removed 2 rows now. If you see, one where the failed payment status was there. Great. Now what I will do is, if the customer ID is null, I'll remove that. And how will I do that? Since it is a string column, a varchar column, when I created this, we would have defined that. So customer ID is a varchar, so it must have a length. When varchar or varchar, what do you say? Whatever you find correct. I don't want any customer ID whose length is 0, right? So I'll remove that too. Now if I run it, I believe this will also get removed. Let's execute this one. Okay, this one is actually creating a chaos here. Wonderful, no worries. Yeah. So this is again a transformation thing. There are 3 transformations which I've applied: null check, and then status check, and again emptiness check if the data is empty over there, right? Customer ID can be a primary and foreign key relation also. For a customer table, if you have a customer table and the customer ID over here is null, it will affect our referential integrity, the joining keys, right? Primary key and foreign key relations. So these are the major 3 checks which we did right now. Okay, and now let's focus on the business logic which they have asked. So the business logic says that if there is a discount coupon used, you subtract the gross amount. So whatever is the gross amount, you subtract that 10% if any code is used. And if that code starts with save, then you need to remove 10%. Okay, no worries. For this, we will apply a case logic. I hope you know what is case. Case when over here acts as a if else thing over here. So now since I have took a select star over here, I will not, okay, let's take select star also and then add that case when. Maybe I need to align it. Case when, then, okay, case, and then let's add a when over here, which will become over here. Then let's add an else over here. And then add an else over here. I think end should also come there and delete. Okay, wonderful. Let's run it now. Keyword from end as. SRS is not a, this is actually, I'm explaining you word by word. That is why we need to always remove this SRS. But no worries, we will again go for it. Keyword from. Oh, there is a problem. Great. Could not be SRS. Where is SRS, by the way? Okay. Sorry for this. Is there any more SRS over? No. So if we come over here, we can see that the net amount has been, there's a reduction of 10%. Save 10, save 20, save 10, save 10, doesn't matter. Our business rule was saying that if there is a save written over there, you just deduct 10%. We did that. We were not allowed to check for 10 or 20. So we didn't do that. If they will ask us, we will do that too. So now this is a business rule check which we have done. or we have applied in a transformation stage. First three transformation was removing not null, removing empty customer ID, and removing payment status which were not either paid or pending. Again, what we added a one more business rule or transformation which was keeping the discount to 10%, making the discount of 10% in the amount and making it a net amount. Now, one more criteria which they have asked in above, that we need to make the timestamp as date. So if we go up and if we check, maybe the timestamp was made in varchar. Let's check that first, huh? Okay, the sale timestamp is date time only. Date time. Good, it's date time only. But for the sake of understanding, and since we are converting the data, moving the data using pipelines or using this ETL scripts, it can happen that the new target table which is created is actually not having this data type. So what we will do is we will actually add a check over here. Not a check, we'll add a constraint kind of thing. Cast thing. That I need to cast the sales date into date time as date. Good, we will do that too. Control V and then comma over here. And we will add this one. Now if we run this, we can see that we will have a timestamp thing over here. Sale date is now having a YYY time for formatting. So the 5 transformations which we did was formatting, removing nulls, removing empty, keeping only required status, and adding the business logic of discount, and formatting by sales column. These are the 5 ETL checks which we did, and I hope you understand the transformation logic which has been done. Now, since we have done it completely, I have explained every step to you. Let me run that drop thing, and where is that drop? Let me run this, because we actually don't need all the columns also. We need very few columns. So for that, what we will do is we will actually run this completely. I hope I made everything clear to you on this query. We got it 4 rows were there, and in our scenario also we were getting 4 rows. Now what we will do is we have done the transformation. Everything has been completed. I need to just load this data into my target table. To do that, what I'll do is I'll create a target table first. And I believe that target table don't need a structure, because I told you, right, into from actually works in a very sophisticated way. We don't need to create everything. It will copy automatically everything. Now this target layer is created. I'm not grouping it by now because I want to first show you this. Okay, I'll get this error. Why? Because we have added this aggregate columns, and whenever there are aggregate functions, we need to add group by. That was my bad. I didn't focus there first. So I just wanted to show you something else, but let's first go with group by. So if we add this, execute target monthly sales. There is okay. Now let me add that drop over here again, because we have ran it at very early stage only. Great. Remove it. Target monthly sales. Drop it. Since I've dropped that, I hope there is no data over there. Now I'll just run this. We have it. Okay. Now I am executing this one. If I've executed this one, I know the total revenue based on the region and based on the customer, right? We have all the data which is required. And if they would have asked, let us go up, calculate net 10. Okay, whatever the things which we would need to do in ETL was failed fraud blocks, we removed that. Fraud regions, we removed that. Empty customer IDs, we removed that. Null prices from crash cards, we removed that. Discount regions, we added that. 10% off on valid code, this was a discount thing which we added. Aggregate monthly by customer and region. Now we have a target table which has given us data, and we have already grouped it based on customer ID, sales date, and region, right? Total revenue we have. If we want to specifically do in a customer ID, that which customer has ordered, what is the chaos over here, we can do that, right? If I remove sales date from here, and this rests on the BI team. Whatever they want to do, they can do. Our task was to provide the data. As a data engineer, you just provide the tables with the correct ETL transformation. If this video helped you in any ways understanding ETL transformation, what was ETL, and made you a bit of comfortable on the ETL real world scenarios, please subscribe this channel SQL with Asif, and we will discuss the next 5 ETL tests. There were 15 which I have shared in the slides. First, next 5 will be on the next video, and stay tuned. See you in the next time. Thanks.